Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Out of the Park Baseball 19 tutorial series. Yes, we're still doing it. The bread and butter, the bread and butter that got this channel started. And today we are going to be taking a look at international amateurs. Now, you may ask yourself, if you're new to Out of the Park Baseball, what are international amateurs? And I'll tell you, these are players who are usually, around draft age. They're going to be, usually around 16 or 17 years old. They, play in international leagues, so they may play in Cuba. They may be, doing their come up in the Dominican Republic, or usually one of the very popular baseballing nations in Central and America. And these are players that you will offer a contract with, a minor league contract with a signing bonus, essentially. And they will be added to your minor league system with the hopes, of one day playing in the bigs. Now, this is, of course, different from guys who, play several years in a league abroad before coming and, joining at the major league level. So these are players like Shohei Ohtani or Ichiro or the guy on the White Sox, Jose Abreu, or Yuli Gurriel, for example. These are guys, who are established already. These are, the guys that you're signing in terms of international amateurs are, best seen as prospects. None of them are going to be MLB ready anytime soon. So some examples of players who were international amateurs in real life and who were very good deals at that would be Ronald Acuna was one, and he signed for just a $100,000 signing bonus. And then even perhaps more impressive is Jose Altuve, who signed for something like $15,000 out of, I think he's Venezuelan. So, is he Venezuelan? I can't remember. Where he's from. But yes, so two very, big examples. And a lot of teams do, in real life, they view international amateurs as lottery tickets. So they don't splash, big cash. They don't splash $2, $3, $4 million on one guy. They splash, 10,000 here, 100,000 here, 150,000 here, in the hopes of just sort of building up, your chances at, winning the lottery eventually and getting, a surprise Acuna or Jose Altuve type player. So now we're going to be doing this. We've reached the stage where we have a new international amateur class that is on July 2nd every year in game. The team I've selected is the Seattle Mariners, and I selected them because they're just a very normal team right now. They have some money. It's not a crazy amount of money. They have some talent. It's not a crazy amount of talent. They're just in a very normal situation, I guess. They're not in like crazy rebuild mode, and they're not in ultra competitive, one of the best teams in the league mode either. So we are here with the Mariners, and the first thing I'd like to do before we take a look at the class is look at the financials behind this. So I'm going to go to the front office right here, and we are going to take a look at accounting. And one thing you'll see here, well, let's take a look at our budget first. Our budget is $168 million for this year, and ideally, if you're the owner, you're going to want the team to spend less than $168 million so that the team itself makes a profit. Now, one problem you'll see immediately is that $156 million is already being spent on the players. So that's how you have a team with, the 14th highest budget, but the 11th highest payroll. This is a team that's probably going to have to shed payroll, for 2019 if it wants to remain profitable, which, according to your owner, is going to be pretty much a requirement to do. Although one good thing is that their revenue per game is up, so that's, going to potentially bump the budget up a little bit. And so in order to compensate for that, let's take a look at the, what are the other expenses the team has besides just paying its players. So we come over here, we look at accounting, and let's look at the projected 2018 right here. So I'm in this column right now. You can see $157 million for player expenses is what's projected. Then you have staff expenses. Then you have, the scouting budget. You can see the scouting budget's actually pretty low at $4 million. Draft expenses, they are projected to have $7.9 million in draft expenses. So they must have signed, drafted expensive players with, who required big signing bonuses above the slot. I've had, draft classes where I spend, like $2 million. And this is a lot more than that. Player development. And then international free agents is set at 3.7 million. So that is set by, in this case, due to the manager options I've used. If we take a look at those, you see the only thing I do is basically sign the amateurs in this save, because that's how I wanted to set it up. So basically what's happened here is that 3.7 million is what makes sense. You know, that's what's in the budget. The most you can, you know, the cap for how much you would spend on international amateurs in any given year is 5 million. But you can go above that, and there are certain rules and stipulations that come along with that. So I'm just going to put those on screen right now. You can go ahead and pause this video if you want to read any further, but just know 5 million is your cap, and then after that there's a pretty, you know, strong luxury tax, so teams don't usually go above that, and for good reason. But ours is 3.7 million, and you know, you have to imagine that's because of the amount of money that was spent on the draft and, you know, players versus what the budget itself is. With that in mind, let us take a look at the class with the knowledge that, you know, we're going to try to be frugal with our money and get the best bang for our buck. So here is your International Amateurs class that has just generated, and right when you click on, it'll be very apparent what kind of quality of a class you're getting. You'll see classes that have a lot of players in it. This one only has, I believe I counted, it was something like 17 players. You know, generally you'll see a lot of classes that have maybe 30 players. One thing I've also done here is I've come and I've customized my view a bit. I did that by, you know, going to customize, and I did just add in the work ethic and intelligence. If you guys haven't seen my amateur draft video, we'll be using some of those same concepts there, just to sort of diagnose, okay, what players do I, you know, actually like here beyond just looking at the stars. So I'll tell you who catches my eye, and it's often a question of you know, what's going to be the best bang for my buck right here. So you look at these players right now, maybe from Christopher Martin, who's at 2.5 stars and up, and you see, you know, Christopher Martin has a demand of 3.4 million. This guy 1.7, this guy 2.8, this guy 1.6, this guy 2.2. So kind of a guy who really stands out to me as a potentially good, you know, a bargain of trying to get the best value would be this guy, O'Neill Mansueta out of the Dominican Republic. 17-year-old, projected stats look insane. And yeah, so I like that a lot. And you look at OSA, and honestly, you know, despite the eye, still looks like a good player to me if he projects like that. So this is a case where our head scout definitely likes him more than OSA. And if you've watched the other tutorials, we know, you know, you want to trust your scout over OSA, generally speaking. So I like him a lot. And even though, you know, we have this slight budget restriction, you know, I do quite like this player. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to sign him. Now you might say, you know, there might be guys who take philosophically a very different approach, and they might do like the teams that I were talking about. They might try to sign, you know, a guy who's 900,000 here, a guy who's 300,000 here, and see if they develop like the lottery tickets that they are. What I do when I play this game, and I'm not saying those guys are wrong, by the way. What I do when I play this game is I sign one really good guy every 3 or 4 years, or maybe 2 to 3 years. Just depends on what kind of money I have. So I come in, I look at the class. If I don't see anyone who really like looks like they could be a superstar, I'm not interested. That's just how it is. These guys are so young, and there's so much that can happen between now and them being, you know, 22 or 23 years old, you know, major league age, that these guys are honestly even bigger crapshoots than you know, some of the high schoolers coming out of the draft, and definitely bigger crapshoots than the college players coming out of the draft. That's for sure. So you know, I can see the logic behind, you know, trying to grab, you know, a couple 1.5 star guys, a couple 1-star guys, a couple 2-star guys. But I want the star, and so that's what I'm gonna be going after Mansueta here, because he really does have the potential at this first glance to be a star. So I'm gonna go ahead and offer him a contract. This is the first day. I imagine I'll get in some sort of bidding war with other teams. Yes, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start him at 1.6 because that is his demand. I imagine some other teams will come in, and hopefully we can get him for around 2.5 maybe, 3-ish, I don't know. So I'm going to go for him, O'Neal, and that's honestly the only guy I'm going to sign. Like I said, other guys will play this very differently, but my whole thing is I'm trying to get that one stud every, 2, 3, 4 years, and then saving my money for other costs in other years. So come in, just take a look. Is this quality class or not? This obviously is a quality class, a very good class, in fact. So I'm going to offer O'Neal, and then we're going to skip ahead as we continue to negotiate with him. Okay, we're a couple days ahead here. Obviously, O'Neal has come along. He said, Twins are, offering him money. You come in, you see a bunch of other clubs are interested. That's, a big part of this bidding process. You have to understand, if you come in and you see a guy with a demand at 1.6, you're pretty much never going to get him for 1.6. He's always going to have his price inflated. So we're going to try to keep up here because this is the guy we've sort of set our sights on. And so just going to keep, just trying to keep pumping up that price and eventually, hopefully, start pricing out the other team because we really want this guy. And I imagine due to what our scout says, we probably want him more than some of the other teams. All right, his price has been bumped up again to 2.3 million, so I'm going to offer him there. And that's just part of the process, Now we're at about 2.6 million, okay? Offering, just still keep going with it. This is our guy, this is the guy I identified, and I want him. That's kind of how it is. Okay, we have skipped ahead a couple days now, and look, he is now a member of the Seattle Mariners. Your final price, if we come in and look at his history, minor league contract with a 2.6 million signing bonus. So that was 1 million more than his initial demand, and you take a look at it, and we got ourselves a potentially, superstar quality player. And this guy, one thing I keep in mind with the amateurs is that this guy has some room to fall off and still be good. And what I mean by that is if he comes in with 15 less contact, okay, and like 10 less gap power and like 10 less home run power and all that stuff, so he comes in to the majors at even something like 60, 50, 50, he's still a good ball player. You know what I mean? He's still worth the 2.6 million. So that's why I like going for the guys with some really sky-high potential and just signing one of those rather than going for the lottery ticket approach. So this is going to be our guy. And yes, so as far as handling him, I have a video already on managing prospects. So if you really want to know about that, go ahead and find that tutorial. But what I'm going to do is I am going to boot up another team and maybe, show you guys a draft class that's weaker and who, one where I wouldn't be signing anybody. So we're going to skip to that now. Okay, guys, rather than, sim through, I just remembered that I had already sort of recorded a clip from a already recorded but not yet released episode of the Chicago White Sox Let's Play that includes a quick look at that year's international draft class. So I was just showing you guys, you can see it's sorted by the star potential once again, and you can see all the stats. And you can see quite simply that this class is not nearly as good as the one we just experienced with the Seattle Mariners. So that's a class that I would just skip. Some guys might go looking for the diamonds in the rough, but like I said, I'm looking for, the superstar guys, the 4-star guys, the 5-star guys when I'm signing my international amateurs. So I would skip, and that would save me some money, that I could put forward towards other things like, a free agent or a contract extension or, a more expensive above slot draft pick and things like that. So, like I said, how I play it is I sign, one really good guy every 2, 3, 4 years. But there are certainly other strategies, and they are certainly valid as well. So, experiment, find what works best for you. And, maybe even report back in the comments, if you do things differently, let me know about your successes. Maybe you have signed a really good player for just a couple $100,000. But until then, thank you for watching the tutorial, and I will see you in the next Out of the Park Baseball video.